Hi, this is Dawn. Welcome back to my channel. I just thought today this is going to be my last video for my Alice panel, and I just thought I'd have a bit of a chat to you as I do a little bit of stitching to finish it off, and talk about the things that I've actually done on this panel. I always think that some jobs are not going to take very long, and then all of a sudden 3 days later. So yeah, that's why you haven't seen me. I've between doing some family things and stitching this to get to this point. It's now Thursday, and I thought I would have it yesterday. Excuse me, sorry. I'm going to be using this thread. Just don't know how you'll see that. Yeah, that maybe is a better option. It's like a pearl cotton, but I don't really know what it is. It's something that I had in my stash, so my apologies. But I actually used it to couch around the roofs and thought it might be nice to continue to use this. So my intention today is to stitch around the border in some places that I don't think is going to be held down well if I don't. I think it'll start to lift as it frays. And so finally I'm getting some slow stitching in. I feel like the rest was a bit more just applique and embroidery. So yeah, so that's my plan for this morning, and I'd really want to get on to my next project, which is just sitting there on the back burner. I've been participating in the project that Corinne from To Be Loved Treasures by Corinne, and Susanna from Vintage Blend Studios, and Tia from Calm Creations. I'm going to challenge myself with some editing skills today and try and attach all of those links to this. I have had one lady that kindly wrote to me and said it might be good if you could have the links to the things that I've talked about. So my intention today is to add Susanna's link for where the actual panel comes from, and the link where I purchased the print from. So just as a little touch up as I'm going around here, I'm just going to do it as a running stitch. I've got quite a large needle simply because there's a bit of thickness here to go through. In some places when I was doing this ribbon embroidery, my fingers were almost killing me. But anyway, on this side here, just before I move along, I haven't stitched in every single thing because I just didn't think that it really needed to. Just highlighted a few areas. I've done a running stitch around, back stitch around the rabbit just to try and lift him out of all of this foliage. And I've given him these tiny weeny little lace cuffs because in my box of tricks that I originally put together for this, I cut these little tiny weeny flowers out off a trim. If I could find it, I'd show you. But anyway, it's just tiny. So I just folded them in half because I thought if I try and cut those, I should have had that a bit organised. If I try and cut them, they would just fray away. So I folded them in half, but I thought it just gave a little cute feature. The ribbon embroidery goes throughout. Some of it is pre-purchased red, and then this is my dyed ribbon that I've attached in another video. I did a tiny weeny little butterflies. Can you see them? They're these ones here. I wish I'd actually cut out more. They were part of the pattern and they were attached to some of the leaves, and I just had them there. But when I finished, that one's a little bit bigger, so he got put on separately. But these little ones were all attached separately, so not separately with the leaves. So I thought, oh, they might look kind of nice embroidered. So as I scoot around there, I'll show you those, because I'm really hoping that with this bit of running stitch, I'll get to the top. So that'll be good. I've done a little bit of sashiko, which is that Japanese embroidery that's white, using a white, like a pearl cotton, to stitch a design normally on blue fabric is what they tends to be. Some of it's geometric, some of it's looks a bit more real, but I read in the instructions that, and I'm only cutting this off, sorry, because I don't want to go across there and it's too far to carry it across. If you can do a continuous stitch, like get as many stitches on the needle as you can, you're more likely to go straight. And so it's just a habit now that I've got into. So, and that's really all I'm going to do. I don't think that I'll do any more, but as you can see here, it's just starting to lift, and there was a stitch there, but it's just the edge of the fabric's frayed away. So I thought before I call it done, I'll add this little bit of straight stitch along here, which will catch the back and the front, hopefully. It should do, yep. I don't think that I'm going to back it at this point. I don't actually know what I'm going to do with it. And so that's the sort of deciding factor as to whether it's going to need a backing or not. I think I'll hang it on the wall, which will mean that I'll need to put some tabs at the top, you know, on these the top corners here, so that I can put maybe a piece of dowel through it so that it will hold it, you know, taut and straight on the, nearly said on the line, on the wall. Gosh, the other day I did a video, and oh my goodness, I went off the camera so many times that I'm very, very nervous now about what I'm doing. So my apologies if I keep rearranging things here. But I just don't want to have a repeat session of that. All of this applique goes over this edge, so I actually think that, and it, you know, goes through to here. So I think that's okay. I'm not going to add any more running stitch there. The same with where the lace is. I think it's being held down sufficiently. If it was something that was going to get a bit more wear and tear, maybe a book cover or something, might end up being a book cover, but it's a bit big for a book cover. But it would make a cute, like, horsey or something, a sewing roll. It would make a cute one of those. But I have a nice one, so that I did with the Roxy girls in their challenge at the start of the year. So I don't think I need another one just now. But as I said, I don't really know what I'm going to do with it. It's one of those things that I wanted to do. I wanted to do it when we were in Ballarat. I wanted an Alice theme, and I think I probably drove everybody mad by changing my mind 40,000 times. But while I was changing my mind, I actually purchased this fabric with the painted roses on it, and thought that I was going to be doing Alice, and then did Christmas. So yeah, it's like totally changed my mind. Yeah, but one of Susanna's friends had painted a sample panel quite different to this. Hers was mostly paint that she'd used, and that totally inspired me. I was like, yes, I'm definitely an Alice girl. I always have been, probably always will. So yeah, as you can see, I'm just doing it where it hasn't been caught by anything else. So anyway, Alice panel I ended up with. finally, which is good, so I'm quite happy about it. And while the print was teeny tiny, I'm still quite happy with it. I think that it definitely, it's whimsical. It didn't need a lot of embroidery, I didn't believe. So here, as I'm going along, just as a reminder, I outlined anything that I felt needed to lift off the background. I outlined in one strand grey embroidery thread. I did a little bit of same around the Mad Hatter and around the door frame. I've used the gold thread again here around this clock, which would have been part of the White Rabbit's hand, but I didn't emphasise that. I've just included it here. And then in this green background here, I've just picked random shapes out to make it look like leaves, because it just didn't have enough finer detail for me to follow. I'm just going to see if you can see that. I'll bring it up a bit closer. So yeah, I used the silk embroidery thread, silk ribbon. That's one of those multicoloured rayon threads. This is like a glittery thread that is still a machine embroidery thread. Might just put you on hold for 2 seconds. Go and get those couple of things. I'll be right back. Okay, so just recapping those couple of things. This is that glittery green thread. I might put a bit of white fabric underneath so that you can maybe see it a little bit better. How about that? How about over here so you can see it even better? I don't know that you can see that really well. It's a 80% viscose. It's a Madeira machine embroidery thread. It's got a twist. It's a little bit variegated, and it's got a shine, bit of glitter in through it. The other one that I used was this one. That's a bit bright. And that too is a Madeira embroidery thread metallic. I really like it to embroider with. It still is stranded, but so much better to handle than the DMC stranded threads. So have a look around for that. I don't know, I'm sure it'll be a sewing machine shop. This is the multicoloured one that I used for the butterflies and some of the flowery bits, and I just used it as it came off the roll. It'll be a rayon thread as well, a machine embroidery thread. It's only got the name of the colour on there, Tropical Rainforest, I think. Looks like it. And this one also, which is part of these little flowery bits in here, it would have been a Madeira one as well, a machine embroidery thread with a shine. Sometimes I use them double, sometimes I use them single. And that trim that I was talking about with the little flowers for the white rabbits, see, that's as big as it is. It's just, my little finger. And I just used the flower and folded it in half to make his little cuff. Because I thought if I cut that in half, it's probably just going to perish. But it's a little cotton trim that I bought at the last craft show, and I wish I probably bought more of it than I did get. But anyway, that's good. All right, I'll keep going because I think that's all I can tell you about with those things. So yeah, it's been a bit of work, but I really love doing that sort of work. I'm happy to sit at night when the day's done to do this little bit of stitching. maybe I need my magnifying glasses on occasionally when they're teeny tiny bits, but I've had fun doing it because I didn't really know where I was going with it. I was making it up as I was going along. No pattern, no rhyme, no reason. Just thought, I wonder if I should put a bit in there. Yeah, maybe, if a needle will go through it. Oh yeah, it did. I thought it was never going to go through that because it's quite, but this, when it's this thick, you need to do that stabbing stitch. You'll never get the needle through otherwise. Oh, some of those spots with that ribbon, I wished I'd never started it. Putting it, you know, where the ribbon was, because I was doing it on the edge and I was almost breaking my fingers. I'd used a pair of pliers on a needle, and obviously not the right sort of pliers to pull my thread through, pull my needle through, and put marks on the needle that then became rough when you were pulling it through the fabric. And I thought, I'm not doing that again. So I persevered with it and got it through, but very glad when I was done. Didn't want to do any more. So yeah, so I'm really looking forward to now finishing this. I think it'll look nice hanging on the wall. It's bright and colourful. You may not see all the stitching from a distance, but I know it's there. One of the things that I did with the butterflies, you'll think I'm mad, but anyway, yep, I'm managing to get that through all the layers, but when I get there I'll show you what I was doing. This shiny, maybe a rayon again, this one here that I did the apples with, I think it's one of the ones that you buy where the DMC threads are, and it's probably a DMC brand. They have some shiny ones, and they often have them out at Christmas where they'll have reds and greens and whites, and I don't know whether they have gold and silver, but I've definitely seen red and green, and that's probably when I bought it. And I've carefully wound it onto a card, so I no longer have the cover for it, but that's what it looks like. And it's quite springy, and it splits really easily, so I've only used one thread. It challenged me when I was doing the weaving, because it is a bit slippery, but I just persevered with it. I wasn't doing a whole lot, and as I said, I'm quite happy to sit and stitch, and if it's tricky, I don't really mind that, because I just like doing it. It may not be everybody's cup of tea, and sometimes I go, what was I thinking? And then other times I'm very happy with the perseverance and the end result. So the narrow ribbon that I've used in some of the flowers, I painted with this ribbon here. I painted with the Inktense blocks. I ironed it dry, and maybe the colour will run at some point, but unless I get it wet. I have heard that if you leave it, you know, if it's there for a while, I might bury that knot because it's stick out. I noticed another knot here that's come out of there, so I need to cut that off. The longer it sits on the fabric, the Inktense ink, the more set it becomes. So I haven't steamed it or done anything else with it. As I said, ironed it dry. I didn't have any problems with it. Sometimes I have had it bleed, the colour just comes off on my fingers, but it didn't with this red one, so maybe I got that right. I just didn't have any narrow ribbon this width. in the colour that I wanted, because it's very, it's very narrow. Some of it was a bit more pinky red than red, but I think that just gave it a little bit of variation, so I was happy with that. Now I'm quiet and the heater's gone off. It's freezing this morning again. Oh, we've had some really, really cold mornings. Gorgeous days, absolutely stunning days. Not warm, but the sun's been out, so that's prompted me to get out in the garden and do a little bit of work out there. One of the jobs that I did this week, I noticed I have a big area for vegetables, and I tend to grow more spring, summer vegetables than I do winter vegetables. I'm not good with getting out in the garden when it's freezing cold and raining, so they get a bit neglected, and then, yeah, I just don't bother. But I have a herb garden as well, which is in a different spot, and since I created it because the garden bed wasn't there, oh my gosh, the herbs just love it. They just took off like a bomb. I've got enough parsley to feed the world. But I also have chilli plants because we all like chilies. My son and my son-in-law always pick a bag of chilies to take home when they're here. But I noticed that the plant was starting to do its sort of winter shutdown, which is a bit late because given we're in the middle of winter. But anyway, I thought if I don't go and rescue those chilies, they'll be no good. So I know they don't like frost, and we have had a couple of frosty days. I might just put another one in there because the pack of cards is going right up. Anyway, so I picked all those and picked a bit of the parsley as well because, I was trimming it really because it was growing all over the chilies, and got the dehydrator out, so I've now got a nice jar of dried chilies and dried parsley for when I need it in my cooking. First time I've actually grown, it's not the first time I've grown chilies, but the first time I've had such a productive crop. So everything's been growing good here since we've moved here. Gippsland soil is red, and yep, it creates a red mud as well, but it's really good for growing things, so I have to weigh up the negatives and just deal with the red. The shoes just don't come inside. I noticed when we first moved here, we bought the house, we didn't build it, somebody else had owned it prior to us, and some of the tiles, the grouting around in the bathrooms, I noticed sort of had a red glow to them, but I've managed to clean that off. Don't know why they didn't, but anyway, that doesn't matter. I have. Cool. So here's one of those teeny weeny little butterflies, and I did that in that variegated thread, and then crazy, I put a little bullion stitch going across his body there, and it's raised. I made it a bit longer than, so that when you put it in and out, you get like a little loop, little bump. I know, it was tiny, but I quite like the look of it there, so I've done that on. I wished I'd used more butterflies then, because I've only got them on sort of this side of the panel and not on the other side, so never mind. Everything's good in hindsight. But they're too tiny to stitch by themselves. As I said, these tiny little ones were attached to this leaf part that I'd cut out, so no way am I going to go and try and look for tiny weeny little butterflies to applique on. By the time I've done that, I might as well not have bothered. I might as well have I just did lazy daisy stitches for the wings and didn't worry about too much detail. Could do that without the butterfly underneath. But as I said, when this is done, I'm going to get started on my tulip page for the Botanical Beauties project because I'm so far behind. And in the middle of getting these things done was when I got the the courage to start my own YouTube channel. And then, of course, I was like, oh, I better not start that thing because I'll need to film it. But, oh, goodness, trying to find the time to film everything. And I've started on my, the Roxy's Journal of Stitchery. I'm saying all of these things in the hopes that you do know who they all are. But I will try and add the links to the things that I'm following and the projects that I'm following along. I haven't got anything of my own going on at the minute. I'm too busy doing these things. But one day I might. And until that day, I'm doing these projects. But I'd already well and truly started Alice. And now I'm working on the Journal of Stitchery field notes, and I'm working on the Botanical Beauties project, which is where I'm behind on all of those things because I've been putting off getting too much done without making a video. So okay, good. I'm done with that. I'm happy with that. I don't think that it needs any more rows. I don't think that it does. I think it will take away from the rose design if I put any more in there. So I'm not going to, unless I decide that I will, but not today. I think now I'm going to just leave it, have a look at it, just keep looking at it every now and then, maybe get it up on the wall, and that just gives me the chance to see it from a distance. Do I need to add anything else? I don't think so. It was these roses here that I was talking about, trying to get through the bulk of the edging here was a nightmare. But anyway, I got it done. So yeah, I'm happy with it. I haven't bothered to put any more beads other than a doorknob. I put a little doorknob bead on. I've just left the beading on this one toadstool. I don't think it needs anything more than that. I highlighted a few of the extra toadstools, but only the bigger ones. I've left the little ones in the background. As I said, it's just my own personal preference. So yeah, I'll put a photo up on Susanna's the girls' Facebook page, which is Stitched Vintage Treasures. If you're on Facebook and you'd like to go and have a look and join that and see what everybody else is doing, lots of people are working on their own projects, but lots of people have worked on Susanna's project as well. And I'm sure that when we get to Corinne's Christmas ones, we'll be doing the same. So you could check that out. Anyway, I hope you've going to have a good day. It's early in the morning here because I want to get started on my next project. So you might see a couple of videos in quick succession, feast or famine with me. But thank you for joining me. I like stitching and chatting, in case you hadn't noticed. Good. Have a great day, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.